Happy Monday evening. How's everybody doing? We're talking about money today. Because we're talking about money, I decided to go with the cream blazer. Only appropriate last night was the hoodie. We talked about money last night, but today we're actually going to break it down. The Deebo Samuel contract with the 49ers. Parag Marate, 49ers chief negotiator, and Tory Dandy, Deebo Samuel's agent, made it all work. That's the article that's up on The Athletic. If you'd like to follow along, please do so. I invite you to subscribe to The Athletic right now and to this channel right now. I'm going to put this into the comment section. And we have a few things to talk about. A lot of false narratives were debunked over the past couple of days. Of course, the top one was that the 49ers wouldn't be able to re-sign Deebo Samuel just in general. Well, obviously, they were able to do that. Then there was the, well, they can't do it if Jimmy Garoppolo is on the roster. They were able to do that. There were also, I think, false narratives from the Deebo Samuel side, kind of naysaying his ability to secure such a large contract, bigger than AJ Brown's, bigger than DK Metcalf's. And as I'll illustrate right here, his contract actually was bigger than both AJ Brown and DK Metcalf's. But I have to tip my cap to Tory Dandy, the agent for all three players. He found a way to, I think, make everybody happy in a situation where it was going to be really hard to make all three guys happy. Because just think about how unprecedented this was. John Lynch shows up at the NFL Combine in March. That's several months ago, basically half a year ago at this point. And he says, we would love to pay Deebo Samuel sooner rather than later to beat DK Metcalf and AJ Brown to the punch, since they're represented by Tory Dandy, same agent as Deebo. But I don't think it's going to be possible because Deebo was coming off of a historic season. And we're talking historic. Like, he did stuff last year that we hadn't seen done before yet in the National Football League. For example, counting the playoffs, Deebo Samuel had 1,500 receiving yards and 500 rushing yards. The 1,500, 500 club. Talk about Roger Craig being the first member of the 1,000 club. Well, Deebo Samuel is the first and only member of the 1,500, 500 club. His yards after the catch last year, 10.8 per reception. Nobody's ever touched that since it's been recorded over the past 20 years or so. So Deebo was a red-hot commodity coming into this offseason. And because of that, John Lynch knew early on that it'd be really hard to beat DK Metcalf and AJ Brown to the punch, since they were also represented by Tory Dandy, and since Deebo Samuel definitely wanted a better contract than both of those players. Now, don't be fooled by the surface level numbers. People look at APY, which can be filled with funny money. People look at total guarantees, but where contracts really hit the nitty gritty are in the full guarantees and also in the potential future earning potential. And this is where you have to tip your cap to Deebo Samuel. He had agreed to the deal. He had to discuss this with Tory Dandy. It didn't matter to him that he wasn't the highest APY. In fact, both DK Metcalf and AJ Brown finished higher than Deebo Samuel in terms of average per year. But the actual number, the meat and potatoes that matters the most, fully guaranteed money, Deebo Samuel finished on top of those three. So I'm going to go through it. Make sure to click on the link, check out the article. First, let's check out some of the contract mechanisms here as I get some of these text titles ready. 23.9 million APY is what was initially reported. Turns out that it could be up to 24.5 million, depending on your point of view. Because the most interesting part of this deal for many people are probably going to be the running back incentives. So you see 23.9 million, and then you see that go up to 24.5, 71.55 million versus, what was it, 73.5, I believe. The difference between those two numbers is 1.95 million in running back incentives. So this is, if we talk about theories being debunked, this is the most significant one. We were told that Deebo Samuel did not want to play running back anymore, that he was causing all this drama because he was sick of how the 49ers were using him, even though that flew in the face of all available evidence. I mean, just a couple months before all of this blew up, Deebo Samuel was actively selling wide back merchandise on his website. So to me, it didn't add up for many reasons, because Deebo Samuel himself came up with the term wide back. He proudly paraded it around. Two, Deebo Samuel is a very physical football player no matter where he lines up. So he could be at that running back position. And yes, that's a physical spot to be, especially if you're running into defenders time and time again. But guess what? It's no different from him being out wide, at wide receiver. He's knocking out AJ Terrell's mouth guard when he's at that wide receiver position. He might have been lined up in the slot on that one, but the point still remains. Deebo Samuel is going to seek contact. He's not going to try to avoid it. Deebo Samuel plays that style of football, and no matter where he is on the football field, there will be bruises, some probably to him. That's just how he delivers his punishment, which is why he's one of the heartbeats of this 49ers team. So to me, it was always silly that, all of a sudden Deebo doesn't want to play running back. And I don't know where that came from. Obviously, it came through tweets in the national media. I don't know if that was Tory Dandy just trying to stir the pot and create a little bit of chaos. I tend to think, though, just based on the very poor track record that we have seen from the national media covering the 49ers, that, there's just some stuff that seems to be made up out of thin air. Arm fatigue for Trey Lance. Deebo Samuel doesn't want to be running back. I mean, maybe we could just toss all those things into the same bucket, because not only does this contract allow Deebo Samuel to play running back, it incentivizes him to play running back to the tune of a small incentive package. It's not huge, but I think most of us would say that $1.95 million would be nice to have. But Deebo Samuel can make up to $650,000 per year if he crosses 380 yards rushing. Now, what's the significance of that number? Well, Deebo Samuel finished with 365 yards rushing during the regular season last year. So this is ingenious from Parag Marathe, 49ers chief negotiator. He gave the incentive to Deebo Samuel, the ability to earn this money. Okay, if you take these running back snaps, if we need to give them to you, you can make this extra money. But he set the incentive at a higher number, just slightly, than what Deebo Samuel finished with last year. By rule, that makes the incentive not likely to be earned, NLTBE. So it does not count against the 49ers salary cap. So this $1.95 million or $650K per year doesn't count against the 49ers salary cap. If Deebo earns the incentive, they'll pay for it against the cap later. Why is this important? Well, they had to do this. They had to sign Deebo Samuel with Jimmy Garoppolo's $27 million still on the books, and the 49ers only had about, I think $5 million in salary cap space left. Well, even after this, they still have over $3 million in salary cap space. And here's how. Take a look at how the 49ers structured this deal. I have to allow you guys to see this across the whole screen. They gave him a $24 million signing bonus, and then they gave him a second bonus that's an option bonus that's fully guaranteed that doesn't kick in until next year. So everybody will tell you that DK Metcalf's $30 million signing bonus was a record for receivers. Technically, that might be true, but the 49ers just awarded Deebo Samuel 2 guaranteed bonuses that are worth up over $33 million. So while all of Metcalf's bonus is paid at once, Deebo's will be paid in 2 chunks, and that helps the 49ers avoid the cap hit right now by pushing the money further down the line, which is something they can afford to do since the salary cap is expected to explode. So this is called financial gymnastics, and the 49ers are paying Deebo Samuel only $6.7 million on the cap here in 2022. His cap hit prior to this was $4.9 million. So it has gone up only $1.8 million between rookie contract and mega deal. That's a Houdini act by Parag Marathe and the 49ers. And yes, he gets more expensive as the deal goes on. But again, the salary cap is going to skyrocket because the NFL salary cap is tied to league revenue. And the league is about to see an influx of $100 billion plus thanks to these new TV deals. So the 49ers aren't afraid to move money backwards. It's not really risking hurting them because they're willing to pay the signing bonus right now. And these bonuses prorate for cap purposes over the course of the deal. Now, we talk about fully guaranteed money. Take a look at this. This is A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, and Deebo Samuel. Look how cool this was. Tory Dandy finished a perfect storm of symmetry for the big three. Out of A.J. Brown, traded from the Titans to the Eagles a few months ago, right, on the draft. 4 years, $100 million. So his average per year is $25 million. DK Metcalf was 3 years, $72 million. So his average per year is $24 million. Deebo Samuel was 3 years, $71.5 million. So his average per year, $23.9 million. So you see AJ number one in APY. Total guaranteed money, which includes injury guarantees, DK number one at 58.22. Deebo Samuel right behind him, like suspiciously close behind him. At this point, when DK's is 58.22 and Deebo's is 58.16, you know there's something going on. You know this was intentional, given the fact that it's the same agent for both of these guys. So Tory Dandy made sure to negotiate the details of DK Metcalf's deal to slightly edge out Deebo Samuel in total guaranteed money. But look what happened in the fully guaranteed money, which, by the way, is the most important column out of the three. If you ask anybody what's the most important column, it's the column that represents money that's guaranteed by skill, not just guaranteed for injury. So guaranteed for skill, AJ Brown, 40 million, DK Metcalf, 31 million. The last gap we had to fill was this one. And Deebo Samuel, through a combination of 8 separate guarantees on his contract. If you want the formula, it's wild. It's up here. $24.035 million signing bonus, $9.2 million option bonus, a guaranteed 2022 base salary, guaranteed 2023 base salary, a portion of a guaranteed 2024 base salary, guaranteed per game roster bonus money, which is wild. The 49ers have never done that, and guaranteed workout bonus money in 2023 and 2024. The 49ers, through those 8 components, have awarded Deebo Samuel $41 million fully guaranteed. You'll notice that A.J. Brown was at 40, Deebo's at 41. It just slightly edges him out. So look at that symmetry. Deebo Samuel wins the title in this column. DK Metcalf wins the title in this column. A.J. Brown wins the title in that column. I did the detective work, and I have to say that Tory Dandy found a way to make 3 men happy all at once, because this wasn't going to be easy. You had 3 of these guys. You have egos involved. You have a lot of money involved. And, you know, you normally say, well, it just depends on the order that they're going to sign, right? The first guy's going to sign. Second guy's going to sign for more. Third guy's going to sign for even more than that. But Tory Dandy didn't let it get to that. He made sure that each of these 3 receivers had part of the prize. And Deebo Samuel had the most valuable part of the prize because he went last, as he deserved to go last after last season's historic numbers. So congratulations to everybody involved. Anytime there's some mathematical symmetry, I will smile about it. Deadline pressure did produce results, and these running back incentives are really interesting to me because they highlight just how wrong a lot of the media was and a lot of the chatter about this was. Deebo Samuel's ready to play running back for the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan's usage of him will not change. That was the biggest question entering this, right? Question 1 was how much fully guaranteed money for Deebo. Question 2 was how can they use him? Can they use him as a running back? Because they're so much better with him being, I mean, it's a catch-22, right? Deebo Samuel earned this contract. He earned a spot at this table by his versatility. If he were to throw his versatility out of the window right now, then it wouldn't make sense for the 49ers to give him this contract, right? So he has to be the same guy that earned the contract. That's why it never made sense. That's why all this, oh, he doesn't want to be a running back, didn't make sense. They're not going to use him primarily as a running back. They don't want to have to use him as a running back. It was by necessity last year when everybody got hurt. This season, they hope that adding Ty Davis-Price, maybe adding Jordan Mason, a healthier Jeff Wilson, a healthier Elijah Mitchell, maybe a second year of Trey Sermon improving a little bit for anybody. The 49ers hope they don't have to use Deebo Samuel all too much in the backfield, but the ability for him to be a positionless, skill position player, so versatile all over the formation, is invaluable to the 49ers, and it's something they had to have, and they got it with this deal. So anyway, if you're just joining and you want to see that big contract breakdown, I know that it's a lot harder probably for me to convey this to you through talking. This is probably one that you want to read. I'm going to put this up on the chat section. There you go. It's up on The Athletic. I mean, you're not going to get a more detailed contract breakdown than this right here. I'm just giving you guys the quick screenshot. And it's, I think you could still get it for $1 a month, but even if it's more, how have you not subscribed yet? I spent a lot of time making that contract breakdown for you today. We've been wondering for months what this contract would look like, and now we finally know. So it's rewarding to know that we were on the right track, that Deebo Samuel did indeed sign for a better deal than A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf, just barely, but that Tory Dandy gave each of those 3 deals a title in a different category to ensure that all of his clients would be happy. And let's talk about how wild this offseason was. I mean, John Lynch was talking about how hellish these negotiations might be at the combine. And that was before this got rolling. Remember, this is the offseason of the wide receiver market going bananas. I blamed it on Christian Kirk. Technically, the Jacksonville Jaguars for giving Christian Kirk a contract worth $18 million per year. But that sent everything into overdrive. And then you had all kinds of names, including Tyreek Hill, signed for a record $30 million. But Devontae Adams was traded. He got paid by the Raiders. Cooper Kupp got paid by his original team, the Rams. And the market just started spinning and spiraling. And finally, it was Tory Dandy's turn to negotiate the deals for his three players, being A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, and Deebo Samuel. So amidst this red-hot market, Tory Dandy had negotiating power with all three of these guys as his clients, and he had to make it work, and the teams that were dealing with him had to make it work because it wasn't the most advantageous situation. On top of that, there was a lot of bluster, right? There was the trade request from Deebo Samuel. There was the social media scrub. There was overanalyzation of nightclub visits from Deebo Samuel and just a whole lot of hand-wringing that went all the way up until the point of his hold-in. But relationships ended up winning out. And that's something that I emphasized last night. And then Kyle Shanahan actually emphasized this morning during his press conference. No matter how ugly things got because of the business side of things, because it did seem that Tory Dandy was trying to stir the pot to see which teams would panic, and the Tennessee Titans might have panicked. They traded A.J. Brown to the Eagles. No matter how much all that's, created a sense of discomfort in these negotiations, the 49ers always had the fact that Deebo Samuel would hang out in Kyle Shanahan's office to fall back on. The 49ers had cultivated a really good relationship with Deebo Samuel. So even though they didn't talk there for a while because of stuff that probably was money and agent driven, the 49ers ultimately did come back to the table with Deebo Samuel. And Trent Williams talked about it today. Trent Williams, captain of the team, he acted as a liaison in a way. He talked to Deebo Samuel. He talked to Kyle Shanahan. And like men, they came back together, and we'd know when it thawed out, right around June when Deebo was playing catch with Carter Shanahan, Kyle's son. It was only a matter of time before this got done. And guess what? The 49ers do this kind of stuff on their own schedule. They signed players right before training camp, and Deebo signed the night before, actually technically signed this morning. Came in a dapper outfit there with the gold tie and the red vest, but he signed right before the 49ers took the field with pads on for the first time. So just like George Kittle, just like Fred Warner, 2020 for George Kittle, 2021 for Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel beats a 2022 deadline, and the 49ers keep on taking care of their own, thanks in large part to the relationships that they've fostered with their own. It comes back down to the people after a lot of all of this haggling back and forth. So that's the look at the Deebo Samuel contract situation. I want to type something else in because this is happening at practice right now. I just misspelled something. All right, I'm adding the banner. Brandon Ayuk is having a hell of a camp. So we're sitting here talking about Deebo Samuel, but Brandon Ayuk is doing what Deebo Samuel did last year, and that's impressed the hell out of everybody at training camp. I want to talk about practice today. I should probably get the video out. It's on my phone. Well, I could probably play YouTube within a YouTube. Maybe I should do a different show. Here's the thing, and maybe it is here. Maybe I could get it on my iPhoto or whatever we call it, because I want to play you the video of Trey Lance throwing a deep to Deebo Samuel. That got everybody all excited at practice today. So I'm going to see if this is a possibility. Just give me a second. But Brandon Ayuk, while I have his name down on the screen, I can't emphasize enough how, Herm Edwards told me a couple of years ago after the 49ers drafted Ayuk out of Arizona State that he runs to the light. And I thought that was just a really poetic quote. And now it makes sense. Brandon Ayuk has seen the opportunity, and he's seen the writing on the wall as well. This is his chance. He saw Deebo Samuel dominate this training camp last year, parlay that into an excellent season, and parlay that into getting paid a year early. This is Brandon Ayuk's chance now. 49ers are going to free up that Jimmy Garoppolo money, and their core, the guys that they pay so handsomely, can grow as time goes along. Brandon Ayuk wants to knock on that door. In fact, I think he wants to kick that door down so that he can become the next paid member of that core. We know they're going to take care of Nick Bosa, but the room is opening. The Garoppolo money not on the books, that's $25 million or so that the 49ers are going to have saved. They can either carry over to next year or whatever. And they also have that $100+ billion NFL TV deal that's being infused. It's going to trickle out into cap increases for all teams. So the question is, who's going to go and grab their bag next? Deebo Samuel did a good job in 2021. He set himself into position to grab the bag. And I'm wondering if it's going to be Brandon Ayuk next, because I was out of practice today, and I'll tell you, he made an impressive touchdown catch in the red zone. This is the first day with pads for the 49ers, and they're working in the red zone. That's usually an intense part of practice. First time they've done that this training camp, and Lance was under some duress, moved away, shuffled from the pressure, and just zipped one into the end zone. And Charvarius Ward has been like glue to these 49ers receivers. Had another interception of Trey Lance today in the red zone. But this particular pass, the play before the interception, Brandon Ayuk just used his body and just ripped it out of the air right in front of Charvarius Ward, who was upset that he gave up the touchdown. So there was a TD for Ayuk, who's playing big. He's playing strong. And then we saw Ayuk run a deep pass that Trey Lance hit him on. That was also really pretty. That was maybe 5 or 10 minutes before that in practice. So Lance was 5 of 11 today. He's still operating against an awesome 49ers defense. I don't know how else we can say that. Today, the 49ers could protect themselves a little bit better up front with the pads coming on. Spencer Burford was back at right guard for the 49ers for the 5th straight practice. So there's definitely something brewing there. But I still do think that the 49ers defensive line was winning against the 49ers offensive line. So Lance, I mean, if this is the top defense in football, it's good training. And the 49ers probably hope that it is. We won't have firm answers on that until we actually see these guys face other teams, face other offenses. We'll get to see it in Minnesota when the 49ers have dual practices with the Vikings. Kirk Cousins is going to have to operate against this defense, and we'll see how that ends up going for him. But to me, they look extremely impressive. It's been uphill sledding for Trey Lance, but he did make a couple awesome things happen today with the help of Brandon Ayuk, who was playing out of his mind during this training camp. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to play this video right now. Maybe I could play it through YouTube, so I'm going to try. It had like 60,000 views on YouTube, which was really cool. Oh, yeah, here it is. Yeah, maybe we could play this on YouTube because I don't want to have to go and download the file from my phone. That would make me have to stop the video for now. So we're going to put this up here for you, and we're going to watch. Because today was fun. Today was something that we've been waiting for a long time, right? Trey Lance to be back on, Deebo Samuel to be back on that practice field with Trey Lance. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the audio here, and let's rip it. It might be a little bit choppy, but who cares? Let's watch anyway. Trey Lance, deep toss. Deebo's back. Crowd loved it. This is going to be a lot of Trey and Deebo stuff, but you'll also see Deebo and Brandon Ayuk. This is the wide receiver group. Leonard Hankerson, 49ers wide receiver coach, getting to work with Deebo Samuel for the first time. There's Deebo up close. And there's the shot, Deebo and Ayuk. I put the still shot of this up on my Twitter. Look at that visor. I'm sure 49ers fans are happy to see that back there. They played Super Gremlin today. It was the first song the DJ played to warm stuff up, and you could see Deebo and Brandon Ayuk having a laugh. This team is carrying itself in a way that's, there's a swagger here early in this season, early in this training camp. It's only August 1st, but there certainly is a swagger here. And Deebo Samuel only adds to that swagger with that visor. He uses a throw into the end zone on the slant pattern. Lance to Deebo. Today's reel is all Deebo, by the way. Try to get him in there as much as possible. He's looking like he's in good shape too. I mean, he's got that very sturdy frame that allows him to be that special, versatile player that can be both a running back and a wide receiver. The 49ers don't want to run him to the ground at running back, but boy, he like I pointed out in other videos, there are advanced metrics that suggest that Deebo Samuel was the most elusive running back in football last year. He ranked number 2 behind only Cooper Kupp in receiving efficiency. All right, now Deebo's coming over to talk to the boss. Kyle Shanahan in red, Adam Peters, 49ers assistant GM in the black sweater, both around there. Animated conversation with Kyle, all smiles today at 49ers practice, where it actually rained a little bit. That was really rare. Early August rain. By this point, though, it seemed to have dried up. But I wore a sweatshirt at practice in August at 49ers training camp. That's very, very unusual. Trey Lance makes a little bit of a cameo. And now you have Brian Greasy coming to say hello to the man of the hour, Deebo Samuel, who had just recently signed his contract. I don't want to put a sleep number ad on, so why don't we just, maybe we could skip the ad. And we have to watch 2 ads. Thanks, YouTube. This is the 49ers offensive line video that I put up today. Mike McGlinchey, Spencer Burford, taking all those snaps at left guard for the first team. 76 is Jalen Moore, who struggled a little bit today. McGlinchey's still not back 100% of the time at right tackle, so Moore's taking some of those first team snaps. Nick Bosa had his way with him. Take a look at 62. That's Jason Poe, shortest lineman in football. The cannonball worked out with Trent Williams this offseason. Then Trent Williams flew him to camp in his private jet. 60 is Brunskill and 64 is Jake Brendel. So 60 and 64 are competing for the 49ers center spot. That's Chris Furster on the left, the 49ers offensive line coach. Now, all this video is available up on my YouTube channel, so go ahead and check that out. But I just wanted to show you a little bit of what the 49ers offensive line is doing work-wise. But yes, Brandon Ayuk has been having a hell of a camp, and I thought that was an interesting theme on the day that Deebo Samuel did return. All right, let's open it up. Some questions right now here on this first day of August. I guess in San Francisco, it's technically Fogust. It's that month where in the city you don't really see the sun too much. I was down in Santa Clara, though, and right now I'm in the peninsula. I'm not going to be up in the city until this fall. I try to avoid the city in August, but hope everybody's doing well. Everybody subbed to the channel as usual. Check out this Deebo article if you're just joining. It is a very in-depth contract breakdown. I'm going to put that into the chat section one more time. And let's talk. It's 8:45. I've been on for 27 minutes, so why not a few more? What are you guys up to? Tommy Huxley complaining about the Giants. Christopher Byers says it's raining in Alaska. And I'll keep the Brandon Ayuk message down underneath me. How are you feeling about the line after seeing the pads? I missed the first 15 minutes. Sorry if you covered it. I'm still worried about the 49ers offensive line, if you're going to ask me to be honest. I thought during some of those red zone periods, they were still getting caved in. And to be honest, Trent Williams is not in there every single rep for the first team, and Mike McGlinchey isn't yet either. And they have that rookie at right guard. But, I mean, you can't just say all this stuff and be like, that's going to fix itself, because there will be injuries. There will be a rookie maybe starting at right guard in Spencer Burford. It's going to be a second-year guy who might as well be a rookie as far as playing experience goes, and Aaron Banks at left guard. And there's not going to be a whole lot of starting experience at center. So you have to hope that they have their evals down correctly and that their development's going to be on point, because I still thought it was a little bit shaky today. And you always play the game in your head. Well, is this the 49ers defense? Is this pass rush overwhelming them? Or is the offensive line just really, really shaky? And it might be a little bit of both, to be honest. So we'll see how this evolves. We're only 5 days in, and Shanahan seems more optimistic about the development track than I do, than a lot of people do. So, you know, I'm a wait and see kind of person. I'm not going to freak out, but that's the reason I've repeated time and time again that I think that the 49ers offensive line is the biggest concern on this football team. And I think that you agree with me based on that. Tommy Huxley, who's going to be a right guard? Well, Spencer Burford so far. I haven't put anybody else there, so we'll see. Saw me at practice? Awesome. Say hello next time. Unless you were that one person said hello and I couldn't see who it was, but I was busy getting some videos up. So sorry about that if that was you. So hello. Running backs with pads. There was a couple thumps early. JaMychal Hasty always impresses me at practice. Jeff Wilson today pushed some guys back. This is something I talked about yesterday. I think it's really hard as a running back to stand out, even when the pads come on. I think we're watching linemen now, but Kyle has said this before. The preseason, the only good thing about preseason games is that he can evaluate running backs because you could see the 49ers don't tackle live to the ground. And how's a running back supposed to prove himself outside of pass protection if he can't break tackles? Because if they're just going to whistle the play dead before he goes to the ground, well, that's tough for a wide receiver. What running back is going to be a receiving threat? I'll tell you who caught one today that was the biggest gain for running back. Jordan Mason from Brock Purdy. Little angle route out of the backfield. Purdy hits him, and Mason sprints off for a big gain. That was a nice play. So we know Jordan Mason can catch the ball, run with it a little bit, and he might have an opportunity. I mean, the 49ers are an injury away from going into an undrafted free agent as part of their rotation in running back. That's how it always works. Kyle Shanahan wants that rotation moving forward. Kyle does like Hasty. It won't be easy for Sermon, nor should it be. They've all got to work. But again, guys are going to get dinged up. It'll work itself out. And Kyle has been impressed with Trey Sermon's offseason and the shape that he's come with this year. Kittle is looking huge. Kittle's really big. I had him in one of my videos the other day. Mikey Am from the NFL Network, used to work for the Pac-12 networks, interviewed Kittle. Kittle's massive. Kittle, I don't think he was spending a lot of the offseason recovering from an injury. He was beaten up a lot last year. And then he got back to lifting here the last couple months. And I think George Kittle is looking fresh, looking good out there on the field for the 49ers. What happened on the Jennings drop TD? Dante Johnson made a play. That's all Jennings should have held on to it, but Dante Johnson, either got his hand in there. Some people said he might have led it with his helmet. I couldn't tell. I didn't see the replay, but Dante Johnson initiated contact and knocked the ball out right there near the pylon. So credit to Dante Johnson on that play. Nick Zakel's development. He did the rookie hype machine today. It was pretty cool. Other than that, he just like every offensive lineman on this team, not named Trent Williams, he lost some reps without pads on. Didn't notice him today. Might be a good thing. Zakel, he might be the center of the future. Really smart kid from Fordham. So we'll keep an eye out for him. Cleveland area, then Fordham. You know who else is from the Cleveland area? A little bit further south in a suburb is Kyle Juszczyk. So apparently they produce smart Ivy Leaguers in that Cleveland area. Do I see any random free agent signings before the beginning of the season? Well, they signed Akeem Spence today. Did a short about that. Akeem Spence played for Chris Kasarik in 2017 for the Detroit Lions and had the best season of his career. Not surprising. Tell me no more. Take my money. Sign with us. That's as soon as you see a defensive lineman who's available, who's had his best career season under Chris Kasarik, and you're the 49ers, grab him. Bring him in. They put Maurice Hurst on IR. So Akeem Spence is a 30-year-old defensive tackle that's going to be fighting for a roster spot. But he had 4.5 sacks under Kasarik in Detroit in 2017. If any more random signings happen, they're probably going to happen because somebody got hurt, because right now the 49ers are filled up. 90-man roster is full. Jason, a good long-time viewer. Jason, how you doing? No, preseason's not this week. The Hall of Fame game is on Thursday, but the 49ers aren't part of it. The 49ers play next Friday against the Green Bay Packers at home. So not this Friday, but the next, I believe, August 12th is the preseason opener for the 49ers. I don't know how Brendel's doing right now, right? The pad just came on today. The center is a tough position to evaluate. Kyle has to look at the film. He has to be able to evaluate how well the center is evaluating safety rotations, diagnosing what's going on the field. Don't give up on Brendel and Brunskill that quickly. J.C. Treader is out there, yes, but he would cost some coin, and his knees didn't allow him to practice much last year. And the 49ers really want a center who can practice with Trey Lance. So first they're giving Brendel and Brunskill that chance, and I think it'll be a few days at least before we know precisely how this is doing. The Bucs do need a center as well. Ryan Jensen done for the year, right? I don't know how many snaps Trey's going to get during the preseason. We haven't talked to Kyle about this plan yet. We're still 12 days out from that game. Hello, everybody joining right now. I've been on for 34 minutes. Today's going to be a little bit of a shorter show. I have some other stuff to do. Wanted to get you guys the Deebo Samuel contract breakdown, tell you guys a little bit about practice. If you want to see the 90-man roster, it's right here. If you want to see 49ers quarterbacks at 2022 training camp, it's right here. I have the splits out now because we finally had a red zone period. So, and the pads came on. So you have the yellow splits as well. Trey Lance today, 5 of 11. Nate Sudfeld, 5 of 7. Brock Purdy, 6 of 8. Lance threw a pick, and then the red zone splits. Lance was 2 of 7 in the red zone. A touchdown. 3 of 5 for Sudfeld, 3 of 4 for Purdy. Here's the cumulative numbers so far. And sorry, Titan. I'm going to erase your, take your little banner there off of the screen. Here's the cumulative stuff right here, or my mouse, I'll even highlight it for you. So far through 5 practices, Trey Lance is 29 of 59 with 4 picks. That's a 49.2% completion rate and an interception rate of 6.8%. Not great numbers. Nate Sudfeld, 34-50 with 5 picks. It's a good completion rate, but 10% is an insanely high interception rate, so not too great. Brock Purdy is 23 of 32, the highest completion rate of the 3 49ers quarterbacks, and actually the lowest interception rate, but he's going against the third-team defense, and 6.3% is still too high for the INT rate. So in total, the 49ers quarterbacks are 86 of 141 with 11 picks. The 11 interceptions that the 49ers quarterbacks have thrown through 5 days of camp matches the total that 49ers quarterbacks threw during training camp last season through 15 practices. So that's a high interception rate, 7.8%. Very, very high. And 61% on the completion rate's not too great. Trey Lance trying to be better, but again, he's playing against a really, really good 49ers defense. So that's the important caveat to keep in mind as we evaluate this 49ers team. So if you want to check that out, I'm going to put the link into the chat section, and you can go ahead and look at performance of 49ers quarterbacks in training camp. Nicholas says, what I hear is great defense. Yes, you do. It is a great defense. Now, obviously, Trey's young. Trey's going to have some of his struggles, but I mean, that defense is awesome, and I think Trent Williams would agree with you. Jason has a good point. For a defense that wasn't able to get many picks last year, that's really good news. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. The 808 State. Appreciate it so much. I ate at the Dutch Goose today. Should have done a dinner with Lombardi, but I had a lot to do. Dutch Goose, iconic spot, Menlo Park, not too far from Sand Hill Road. Had the double cheeseburger, watched a little bit of baseball, but mainly was on my laptop. It's a good double cheeseburger. They put it on the French roll. They have their little spread on it. The Dutch Goose is iconic. A lot of 49ers memorabilia, a lot of Stanford memorabilia, since it's kind of a Stanford dive bar. A lot of people scratching their name into the wooden tables. And yeah, it's a spot. They closed the Oasis. They closed the Old Pro. They've closed so many of these iconic spots. The Dutch Goose is still there, though, in Menlo Park. So make sure you go and check it out. The quarterbacks are told to throw in tight windows, but, I mean, you're going to need to throw. The NFL is tight windows. You have to do that during games as well. So if you're throwing a lot of picks, it's a problem. What the quarterbacks are told to do in training camp is don't take a sack, even though they can't touch you. Just get rid of the ball. Don't just go into the fetal position. So you do try to push some throws more often, which is why Jimmy Garoppolo's interception rate was higher in practice than it was in games. He was at 3%, though. For perspective, Lance is at nearly 7%. Jimmy was at 3.1%. So 6.8 for Lance, 3.1 for Jimmy last year. And he threw some picks, right? He took his share of heat for throwing picks in practice, but it was nowhere at the rate that Lance and Sudfeld and Purdy are throwing their picks right now. So either credit the 49ers defense or say that the quarterbacks are struggling a bit. They're a little bit inexperienced. Probably a situation where both things are true at once. What can the 49ers do, thank you, by the way, to realistically improve their offensive line? Develop. Aaron Banks has transformed his body. Spencer Burford impressed the staff during OTAs, and now he's out there as the first team right guard. They're having a competition at center. You hope that guys get better every day. You hope that McGlinchey gets more into the fold of things every day. You just got to develop over the course of time. And if that doesn't pan out, then you have to go emergency mode and sign a veteran. But you have to hope that the coaching does its work over the course of these years. Yep, they play at home versus the Packers next Friday. That is, I think that's what I said, right? Over 300. Wow, cool. A little bit tired today, though. Tried to bring the heat. I have for 40 minutes. Talking alone for 40 minutes a night. Yesterday I did 2 shows. Glad that you guys appreciate all that goes into this. All that goes into this, by the way, is got to get. Where's the article? I lose my article already. Let me open the article back up because we have some new viewers right now. We're over 300. Got to get it back up on the screen. Deebo Samuel and the complicated contract. This was complex, but it had to satisfy many, many parties. There it is. Make sure to check it out up there on The Athletic. Do you feel the 49ers will miss Jimmy G's quick release? I feel it's a big part and successful to offense. It absolutely was. I think they will miss how quick that release was. They've got to make up for it in other ways, though. Trey Lance is more elusive, more athletic. He can escape. He doesn't have the release that Jimmy has, but hopefully for the 49ers' sake, he can get away from the pass rush in different ways. So they're going to miss Jimmy Garoppolo. There's no question about it. It's a matter of how quickly can they raise Trey Lance's floor so he lives near his ceiling so they don't miss Jimmy Garoppolo. But at some level they will, because he was a good quarterback for them for several seasons. The main issue with Jimmy, again, was because it was the injuries. You know, he got hurt time and time and time again. Maybe it was the offensive line's fault because Trey got hurt twice last year too. If that's the case, then they're in trouble, because that's, you know, if that line hasn't been addressed and Trey starts suffering the same injury issues as Jimmy Garoppolo as a result, then you start to cringe. Then you start to hope that your defense can carry you the whole way, and I don't think that's possible in the modern NFL. So Garoppolo took the 49ers to a certain level. There was a lot of good football, a lot of good stuff happened with him, and Kyle Shanahan, from a monetary perspective too, wants to save cap space. But he wants to see this offense enter a different stratosphere with a dual threat mobility that Trey Lance can bring to the table. Would I consider sitting any of the starters this preseason? Yeah, I mean, a guy like Trent, but sometimes you got to get guys used to playing with Trey Lance so that it's a balancing act. You got to do both of those things. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining the show today. One more time, article on The Athletic about Deebo Samuel's contract negotiation is going into that chat section. Check it out. If you're watching later, it's pinned at the top of the comment section. Here's the Deebo Samuel contract analysis. This is as deep as it gets anywhere. We talked about Parag Marathe's dueling bonuses, signing bonus, option bonus, and how this particular contract is a shining example of how Tory Dandy was able to balance so many things with 3 different clients. And we're finally at the end of the perfect storm of all those receivers, the red hot receiver market. Deebo Samuel signed last, and we're all good to go. Hey, if everything goes well, Deebo Samuel, he's under contract through age 30 with the 49ers, right? His age 29 season is his last one that he turns 30 that January 2026. If all goes well, they're going to be sitting back at the negotiating table a year before this contract is up. And the 49ers would be happy to be back at that negotiating table, because that would mean that Deebo Samuel has turned in 3 more exemplary years. So the 49ers are happy they have him in his prime, age 26, 27, 28, 29. Now it's time for the 49ers and Deebo Samuel to make the most out of his prime. With that, I say good night and thank you for joining.